All right.
Hi,
Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm
thank
Nijaah
you.
Howard. I'm going to introduce you. I'm Nijaah Howard, a mental health professional speaker and new release author of Raising John's Boy, a self-help memoir and guide for single moms who are raising sons alone. Today, we have a special guest for Let's Talk Over T.E.A.S. T.E.A.S is an acronym for Training, Educational Advocacy, and Support. This is a talk show specifically designed for single parents and how to empower our single parents out there. So, I want to welcome our special guest today. I'm very happy that she's on. This is Pastor Jacqueline Skyers, just an amazing woman of God. I'm so happy that you're here. Welcome, Pastor Jackie.
Well, thank you so much, Chaplain Howard. May I call you Chaplain Howard because that's how I know you. Thank you so
Sure,
much for inviting me to your program. It's an
absolutely.
honor for me to be here to definitely to support you with this book. I'm reading this book and I'm taking it slowly because it's not a book that you read through fast because you left so many nuggets in there that I'm learning, I'm gleaning, I'm learning from this book. So, it's a pleasure to be here and we'll talk
Excellent.
about the book.
Excellent. So tell me, those first what was it that just struck you and brought you in further?
From page one, accept where you are today.
Wow.
That just jumped out at me because right now, this moment, this time, this season of our lives, it's hard to accept what's going on around us. I know it has to do with the raising of the children, but I think in reading your book, as I look at it, it's really about relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to accept where you are in every relationship. I know I'm not a single mother. I was raised by a single grandmother,
Mm-hmm.
basically,
Mm-hmm.
who raised me, on her own, from I was like 13, basically. And I see things that you instill in raising John Boy that she instilled in me to be confident in who I am. That
Mm-hmm.
I have to know who I am in order to survive in this world. And the things that she taught me, she said, the things that I went through in my generation, I don't want you to go through. So I need for you to be independent. For you to think independently, be who you are, but you're going to have to know that in life, you're going to have some responsibilities. So when you say accept where you are today, in every area of our lives, even from childhood, there are things you have to accept. So that line stood out to me. You have to accept when you're 13, 14 that you have to get up, go to school and learn,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
That's right. That's right.
and then when you become an adult or you graduate, accept that when you graduate, you're going to get a job, you're going to work, and this will be life, basically,
That's
you
right.
know, until you retire. And she really embedded that into me because she kept on telling me, I'm looking at the perspective of my grandmother. I'm going home to Jamaica. I live
Mm-hmm.
here, but I'm not
Mm-hmm.
going to stay in America. But I'm going to impact some things and you give you some things that you'll need, but then I'm leaving. So basically, you're going to have to fly. I'm going to drop you from the nest, and you'll have to learn how to survive. So in
Wow.
every area of my life, I had to accept where I was. So that line, I'm like, wow,
Wow.
that just really impacted me. Like, accept where you are, accept your situation. Sometimes it's kind of difficult, and that's why we struggle. But that is such a key. Accept
Mm-hmm.
where you are today.
Absolutely.
We
Absolutely.
can't live in the past. Tomorrow is not promised, but today, accept who you are today, what you're doing today, you're responsible today. So I love that line. I underlined in red.
Wow, that's excellent. That is excellent. When did you find yourself really saying, okay, I'm getting to really understand the climate of where my thought process was or is, and how it related to you and your personal situation, whether it was growing up or even now in the present time?
Okay. I think I began to accept where I am when I realized who I was.
Mm-hmm.
When I realized I was a living, functional human being, when I came into reality, like you said, as a child, when consciousness came,
Mm-hmm.
I asked my cousin, um, Dr. Mona, I think you met her at the church, because she was older than me. And I said to her, do you think that maybe life is just something you make up as you go along? I began to
Wow.
realize this. Wait a second, what is this thing? And how at a young age, and how do I live this? Do I make it up? You know? And and I always ask her. She said, "Did I ever answer?" I said, "No, you still haven't." So I began to realize at a young age, this is my life. Now, what do I do with this life?
Absolutely.
Really.
Absolutely.
And at the age of maybe 5 years old, I stood on a beach in Jamaica, and all I could see was just the ocean in front of me, trees behind me, and I didn't accept where I was. I said, "No, I want more than this.
Wow.
There's
At
got to be."
5?
At 5, I remember
Wow.
I looked
Yes.
in that ocean. The reason I say 5 because I remember my grandmother had went to America, so I knew there was something beyond Jamaica. So I
Wow.
said to myself, what's beyond the ocean? I want to see what lies beyond the ocean. All I can see, but
Wow.
there's more to life than just water and bushes. I would like to see what lies behind Jamaica, you know. So, and eventually I did it. 5 years later, I was here in America at 10,
Mhm.
and the things that I saw in the magazines that she used to bring home, the places I began to see them, I began to realize, what they were, and I began to now start accepting life. Okay, that was Jamaica, and this is America. Then when you come to America, it's a totally different, it's a culture shock.
Right.
You had to accept different cultures, different races, so many different things. But I
Yes.
began to realize again, I had to start accepting where I was, adjust, listen to the language. I spoke Patois, nobody understood me. There was a
Wow.
lot of Jamaicans back then, you know.
Wow.
So, they thought I was speaking Spanish or some other language because it was heavy, thick Patois,
Yes.
So then I had to realize I've got to listen how they're speaking, and I have to adjust and speak how they're speaking so they could understand me. So I had to accept that this is my life now. So I have to accept where I am at 10. So I think
Wow.
at every stage of my life, I had to, like you said, accept, and how do I move around this stage in life, from transitioning from Jamaica in the woods to the Bronx, South Bronx,
Wow.
burnt down buildings back in those days in the 70s, you know, and it was a shock, but then I adjusted.
It's amazing. It's funny where you and I relate. And it's amazing that you remember at 5. I also remember at a situation that happened at 5. I think 5 was when I really realized that I had a gift. I was smart. I
Hmm.
was smart, and I realized at 5 because at
Wow.
5 years old, I remember being 3 years old actually reading the dictionary and the encyclopedia. So by 5 years old, yes, and by 5, I remember I knew how to spell the word encyclopedia, and I remember my mother and my sister looking over me, going, they looked at each other and they were like, "What did you just spell?" And I know the kids today, they come out the womb knowing how to do computer technology. So what I'm saying is nothing. But
Hmm.
when I was 5, I remember at that time back in the 80s, here I am spelling encyclopedia. It blew their mind,
Wow.
you
It
know.
blows my mind. Wow.
So yeah, it was amazing. So that's 5 is so amazing what we remember and what we hone even back when we're small, we're little. So it's amazing
Yes.
when you say accept where you are, how you was able to
Yes.
accept every stage of where you were, and that means you was actually living in the moment.
Yeah.
you know Even in our darkest times and darkest moments, part of the hallmark of life and finding true joy is actually being in the moment.
Yes. Hmm.
Because when you are in the moment, even when it's bad, as long as you're in the moment, you're absorbing all of that information. This way, when you come out of it, because you will come out of it, and when
Amen.
you come out of it, you look back and go, wow, look how far I've come.
So true.
But you got to be in the moment. So it's
Yeah.
amazing that you was in every moment from 5 to 10, 13, being with your it's just amazing how you was able to adapt, because you could have easily swayed and been in a whole nother direction, but
It's
you
true.
stayed focused and you was able
You're
to
right
accept.
about that. You're
Yeah.
right about, because around that time where I was in the Bronx, it was a lot of drugs. It was I remember my schoolmates, their parents, I mean, they live right next door to me too. There was heroin. There was a lot of drugs going on, you
Yeah.
know. So life could have been totally different. You know, you never know what you could be influenced by, you know.
What
And we
part
were
of the
basic.
really quick, I wanted to ask you, what part of the book do you think is going to help another child or even parent to help their child get over getting past that hump of it could have been a dangerous space? Was there any part in there that stood out to you that said, okay, this is going to teach moms or parents or whomever's reading it how to help their child get over that deep space that you was in at that time?
Is what you said basically on that first page. Go through the pain in order to
Mm,
get to the other side. In life, there are going to be situations going to come up, and it's going to be very painful. Leaving, I'm speaking from my perspective, leaving
mm-hmm.
my mother to come to be with my grandmother, leaving what I known, you know, that was comfortable to come to something was painful. Leaving my siblings behind was painful, you
Yes,
know. So sometime in life, you have to basically leave a place, you know, leave a situation, you know, and it can become very painful, you know. But you gotta go through that pain. You sometimes, like you said right here, you gotta go to the pain in order to get to the other side. I had to go to the pain of leaving what's behind to get to what was in my future. So we
absolutely.
have to go through that pain that you said. So
Yes,
though it's hurtful, the situations, because in this you're talking about relationship. The relationship is here you are raising a child by yourself, right? And it's
mm-hmm.
painful. There are financial needs that you need. There are emotional needs. Sometimes you might have been tired and you just need an extra hand. You know, sometimes
Exactly.
it was probably just to help do the clothes or the laundry, but a baby can't help you. You
That's
need the
right.
extra hand. And I mean,
Exactly.
we're talking about emotional pain, and you wish you had somebody just be there to like do the dish today, cook the
That's right.
food today.
That's
You
right.
know, these things
It's
are real, but we got to go through it. Know it hurt, and know, you know, though you cry. You know, pain is a process of growing, and I've come
absolutely.
to realize that you know, we think pain is bad, but the Bible says it's good for me. I was afflicted. You know, what does it mean? It's good for us. It's not like you want to be beat up, but pain is where you grow. It's where you get strong. During
Absolutely.
those times, because you're either gonna fall or you're gonna get up. You
That's
know,
right.
so you gotta go through pain because it makes you stronger. And
That's
as if
right.
it don't kill you, it'll make you stronger. Really, if it don't
That's
take you
right.
out. So the
That's right.
next time the situation comes up, you get stronger and stronger. You know, pain brings conflict, and sometimes we don't like conflict because we don't like to, you know, our emotions being conflicted. You know, we want to feel one way, but we feel another way. So this thing, when you say what would help a parent, go through the pain, go through the loneliness, go through all that, and be real. Yes, this hurt. You
That's
know,
right.
this hurt that
That's right.
I'm raising this child by myself. This hurt that I may not have the finances. This hurt that I may not be able to buy the clothing that the child needs. You know, this
That's right.
may school is coming up. God, how am I gonna get the books?
That's right.
How am I
That's
gonna
right.
get his growing? How am I gonna get the shoes? And where's the money at the end
That's
of the
right.
month? I gotta
That's
pay
right.
rent, and these things are emotional things, and they hurt. But you
Absolutely.
know, I gotta deal with it. You can't say I'm not gonna buy him any clothes because then you don't want your child to feel, you know, different. So you make
Right.
the sacrifices, and sacrifices hurt.
That's right. I remember when I was writing a book, I was so transparent because, I knew that I wasn't alone in this journey. Here I was, I remember working these odd jobs that required weird hours. I'm talking
Mm-hmm.
about 11 o'clock at night to like 7 in the morning jobs because I knew that by the next morning I had to be in court from 9 to probably 2, so you
Wow.
had to make these sacrifices to make sure that your kid had what he needed and you was able to still make it work. But could you imagine the stress and the pain and the frustration and the exhaustion
Yes. Mm-hmm.
and that's what I really want people to glean from it as well as they're reading it, really feel the pain and the struggle of a single person, because the whole
Yeah.
goal here is to really help people to understand and empathize,
Yes.
empathize with people who are doing not one role but two roles, and
Yeah.
sometimes more than that, because sometimes if they get sick you have to be a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
When I had to go to
Mm-hmm.
court, I had to be my own attorney. I
Mm-hmm.
had to do my
Wow.
own research on on how the law works to make sure that my son doesn't get taken away from me.
Yes.
You
Yes.
know, so sometimes you have to be your own chef.
Yes.
You every day can't be the dollar menu.
Mhm.
But I remember when we had that, because that's all the money I had in my pocket at that time when I was
Mhm.
raising. So these are real struggles, and I
Yes.
was hoping that it impacted in such a way where not only are you becoming more empathic and compassionate to a single parent, but you're able to apply it to your own life. And how does that even help you through your journey and your pains and your struggles, through your points? So was there any part in the book so far? And I love how you said you're taking your time to read it. That really demonstrates to me that you are taking in every word, every page,
Mhm.
every chapter,
Yes.
and not rushing through it, but
Mhm.
really
Mhm.
applying it. I love that. Thank you for that.
Yes.
That really means a lot to me.
You're welcome.
So far, has there been anything inside that has generated any kind of like shock or anger or frustration or any kind of emotion that made you like, what?
Uh, no, it really is really a wake up call for me, to tell you the truth. You know, um, nothing really shocking. I mean, hello, nothing really shocking. So I'm turning the book.
Hmm.
But it's something that really is a wake up call for me right now, this time of my life. And it really got home, page 2, when you said, when you are, pain is those inventable feelings we all must go through in order to reach true joy. And you said, find loyal, loving, uplifting support.
Mm,
And sometimes in life, you really can't find that, you know? So that really, the way you also put in bold letters, that word loyal jump out at me. It didn't
mm-hmm.
shock me, but jump out like, yeah, where are the loyal people in my life?
Yes.
Where are the loving people? Where are the people that's uplifting and supporting? You know, I
Yes.
I look at this like raising Jackie.
Yes.
You help me to raise Jackie, all right? Because
Yes.
I think this book is far more than just raise. I think, but as I began to analyze the book, it's about relationships.
Mm-hmm.
You are really you deal from the point of raising your son, but you give vital information in any kind of relationship that you have. So I'm
Yes.
taking it as like, I need to look at what she's saying and put it to my relationships, family relationships,
Absolutely.
work relationships, church
Absolutely.
relationships, and
Absolutely.
really look, as you said, where's the loyalty, where's the loving, where's the uplifting and supporting. So that
Yes.
jumped out, not shocked, but it's like a wake up call, you know,
Yes.
in life. Where are
Absolutely.
these things? So that,
Ab-
you could be effective in whatever you're doing. And that's good
Absolutely.
for the single mothers. They need loyal people. And I always say, don't go to the world for support. Because when you go to the world to find loyalty, you're not going to find it. You have to find a spiritual person. I didn't say someone in the church. I said a spiritual person
That's
that's
right.
loyal, that could be a confidant. And when you speak to this person, whatever you've spoken to as you're venting as a mother, it doesn't go anywhere. It stays right there.
That's
If
right.
you said right now, I know there were, I remember one time there was this young man, and he was a new father, and he confided in me that he felt like hurting a child because he was
Mm,
going through postpartum depression.
absolutely.
And he was saying, when she's crying, I feel like taking her and throwing her out through the window.
Yeah.
So I had to
Yeah.
talk to him, I had to speak to him and say, you probably need some few days away, and
Yes.
you can't listen to those thoughts, and I don't remember exactly what I said to him, but I remember, I mean, it's just me and you speaking. Nobody will never know what I'm speaking about. But I
Yes.
remember he knew he can confide in me because he would never hear back again, you
Yes.
know. But that's a father. When you're going through something, find Christian ears, find
That's right.
find godly ears to give you godly advice. And what does the Bible say? So I'll say a prayer for him. And then, find loving people. I mean, really people who love you and support you, not people who say they do and they don't. People who will really, like, take the time to see who you are.
Exactly right. When I was writing this book, it was so important for me to help people to understand that, especially single moms, keep your circle small. The
Hmm.
smaller you keep your circle, the more in control you can see who's really there for you.
Yes.
If it's too broad, you can't really see. There's too many people who are,
Many
you know,
voices.
yes, it's not strong. Too many people are not there to in your best interest, right?
Yes.
But the smaller, more controlled of your population is, the more you can see who's actually there for you, who's really going to be there when you really need it, right?
Yes.
And I remember, even in my day of struggle, I remember when, I needed, someone to just give me a good quality ear to, that I could just, a shoulder I can cry on, in the ear that would listen to me without any advice or suggestions, just listen to my tears, listen to my voice, my cry, my frustration, listen to me. That's a friend. Those are the people you want in your circle. You want someone who's going to, I remember I had a good friend one time, may she rest in peace. I remember at one time Matha, she said, I remember for one holiday, this is years ago, I remember I could not, um, it was Thanksgiving, and I couldn't,
Hmm.
for the first time, I wasn't going to have Thanksgiving dinner because I had no money in my pocket.
Hmm.
She said, come to my home. If you come to my home, I will make sure you be all right. When I went to her house, she opened up her cupboards, her refrigerator, everything.
Bless her.
And she gave me bags of food and told me just go shopping. I went home that night and I was able to make a dinner for my family. So,
Amen.
so these are the kind of people you want in your corner. You want
That's
people
right.
in your corner that's going to, just voluntarily pick you up from, the train station after you've worked for 12 hours, 8 to 12
Hmm.
hours. I mean, you want people who is going to actually help build you
Hmm.
and help you and grow you,
Yes.
strengthen you, give you the
Yes.
energy, because yes, you have to find those people who are going to, you know replace those extra hands that you could have had
Hmm.
and
That's
wished you
right.
had.
That's right.
So it's so important, and you're so right on the money when you say it's not just for single parents. Anyone could utilize these tools in here. You
Mhm.
want to surround yourself with good quality
Yes.
individuals who are going to offer you something to help you grow and benefit you.
Yes. And also someone that you can, those loyal friends that you may need a night out, and you could put your child, God
Absolutely.
forbid, in the
A-
hands of these people and not have to worry that they're going, your child's going to be the same as you left them.
Absolutely.
So that loyalty goes a very long way, you know,
Absolutely.
because you have to trust. So loyalty comes trust, that they'll take care of your child just like you would,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
just to give you that moment of you just being nice. You may want to go shopping or something, you know.
Exactly.
So that
Exactly.
loyal, and sometimes it may not be grandma or grandpa, because sometimes they get tired. But do I have a friend? Or
That's
sometimes
right.
their friends say, "Listen, I'll take them shopping, and
That's
you don't
right.
have to worry."
Exactly.
And
And if you don't,
godparents.
that's right, godparent. And if you don't have those people in your space, slowly move away. And I'm gonna tell you something. I show those tips and tools too on how to do that in Raising John's Boy. Sometimes you have people in your circle who just love being there, but they don't really offer anything. They don't give anything. They're just like
Mhm.
extra, they're just there,
Baggage.
and baggage, just baggage, and they're not offering anything.
Hmm.
Sometimes you have to remove yourself from individuals who are not benefiting or growing your
Takers,
life.
takers. You have takers.
Absolutely, absolutely, you have takers, you know what I mean. And so
Mhm.
you have to know how to remove yourself from that. So I actually have a passage in there that really shows how to remove yourself, and I had to remove myself from a lot of people that were in my circle. Still cordial probably, I guess, if
Mhm.
we said hi, but it was very important that I move away, because I knew that not only did I want to move away, but I wanted to move up. And so in order to do that, sometimes you have to separate yourself from those people who just take from you know
So true.
so in the book, um is there any last thoughts or anything as we wrap this up, any last thoughts that come to your mind, or anything you want to say to whether it be single parents or, the young men who are raising up in the single parent household, and how could they benefit from the book, or anything that you want to say, you know, uh, to that population, anything at all, or anyone who wants to read the book?
Okay. So anyone that wants to read this book, I would say take this in your tools of building relationships. Take this in your tool in hearing the mind of a young woman, a young Black woman, and the struggles that she went through to raise a black man. Because, you know, not for nothing, black men are like, they aren't, society doesn't see black men the way a black mother would see her child, you
Amen.
know. And for a black man, know how precious you are, you know, through slavery, through whatever. The black man in society for the last couple of 100 years, you know, have had a hard time. You know, I look
Absolutely.
at my brothers, look at my father, you know, and I look to see, you know, where their life has been. I look at my father. First, I'll use my father as an example.
Hmm.
I am one of maybe 10 children from my father, you know,
Wow.
and yeah, my father had a whole bunch of children.
Wow.
And I'm not disrespecting him, but my father was not responsible in some ways. But what I saw in my brothers were responsible men. Where my
Mm.
father lacked, I love my brothers because they are excellent fathers. They raised
Mm.
their son, they're part of their son's life. I have a brother, he passed away, he was in England, but he took care, he was a part of his son's life. Where my father wasn't a part of his life, he said, I wasn't going to do that because I didn't have a relationship with my father. So with my sons, I'm going to make sure I have relationships with them. And he did. He
Mm.
had three sons, and he had a different relationship with every one of them. He made sure he was part of their lives, and it makes a difference. Then I have
Absolutely.
another brother. He said he only wants one child. He said, because again, my father did not take the time to be with me, and I don't want to deprive my son of a father. He said, you know, sis, I'm just have one son, and that's it, because I want to give him everything that I didn't get. And I have
Wow.
another brother. He's got two sons. They're fine young men, Michael and Marley Turner. Wonderful young men. But I watched the father. He took them from the mother and raised them, cleaned the diaper. So, I
Wow.
mean, I saw my brothers. I saw them that they took, actually, my brothers all took the children and raised them from their mothers. It's
I
the
love
opposite
it.
of yours, of your
Isn't
life.
that beautiful? That's
Yeah,
beautiful. And that's why this show is for single parents, right? Because there's a lot of Mr. Moms out there who
yeah,
are raising their children full time.
full
There's a
time.
lot of men who call themselves single dads.
Yes,
But I have and I think I talked about this a little bit in Raising John's Boy too. To me, there's a difference, right? When you say single mother, you automatically know that the child is with that mother and she doesn't have a mate. When you say single dad, typically what guys mean and what that looks like is a single man who just has children, but the children don't live with him.
no,
He's
my
just a
son.
single man, right?
Yeah,
But that to me is not a single dad. That's not the same as a
yes,
single mom,
yes,
right? So so this platform is for single full-time dads as well, because
yes,
they are the ones who are holding the brunt of the work
yes,
even when mom is not there, right?
yes,
So that's what this platform is for those who are really holding the brunt of the work,
yes. Mhm.
and really providing some resources and tools for them. So bravo to your brothers for standing up and really taking that initiative. And with the men who's been on this platform so far, what I have gleaned from them in terms of helping the young men and men who may be listening to this is, you have to stop somewhere. You have to say, okay, I am not going to continue this tradition,
Yes,
this generational curse
yes,
of walking out of my children's life. I am going to stop right here and I'm going to be there for my son or my
yes,
daughter.
yes,
So you have to make a conscious decision, which so many, I believe, are not consciously making a decision. They're just doing whatever they're big enough to do. But in turn, they're hurting the mother and they're hurting the child,
yes,
right? And the generational curse continues to perpetuate itself because you have a hurt mother who's raising a hurt child.
yes,
And that man and that child keeps getting his feelings hurt year after year. Daddy's gonna come, he's saying he's gonna be here, and daddy never shows up. Child turns 5 years old, daddy says he's gonna be here, he's gonna come, daddy never shows up, right?
mm-hmm.
And so you're constantly breaking down his identity and who he is, and mastering his manhood. And so as he becomes a grown man, he still has that void of, oh my God, who am I? What is my role in society? And this is the reason why I think so many of our men make these huge poor decisions because they don't really know what their role is,
Yes.
you know, and what they're supposed to do. And so bravo to your brothers. I want to ask you, what do you think, you know, and you know, you could say it in bullet points, you say it in points, numbers, but what do you think what is your role, identification or definition rather, I should say, of man? What is your definition of what a man is?
My definition of what a man is, my first definition is a provider. I saw that the first male role that I knew was my grandfather. And what I saw my grandfather doing was providing for the family and protecting the family. So a
Mm-hmm.
provider and a protector. He wasn't so much a nurturer, but he
Mm-hmm.
provided, and he also made sure that we were safe. I remember one time somebody attacked me in school. I remember him coming down to the school, and I was so shocked. And I'm like, you know, like, who hurt my grandchild? You know, like, wow. I'm like, my grandfather could have hurt this person. So I had to, like, you
Wow.
know, like calm the situation down. But then I realized in him being a protector how much he really loved me. You
Right.
understand? So when you know you have, so I see a man as someone who will protect you, will provide for you. You know, there's safety. I see
Yes.
it's like the Lord. There's safety in that person. You know, there's trust in that person. So I define
Absolutely.
a man as someone who's a protector, a provider, and someone I can trust. I put in those two, and then somebody who is loving, somebody who is
Mm-hmm.
loving. That's the
Mm-hmm.
next thing. Those I put that last because when you protect me, you provide for me, and I could trust you. I know that you love me. My grandfather
Ah.
may never say those words. He never probably said he loved his grandchildren, but we saw it because he spent time with us. He taught us
Mm-hmm.
games, which another thing, you know, love is spelled Time. He took
Mm.
time to be with his grandchildren, whether he was showing us dominoes or playing the cards, but we had time with him. You know, in these days, you know, when, you know, grandparents have to be treasured, you know, I treasure the time I spent with my grandfather. You know, he to me was what a man represented: a
Excellent.
provider,
Okay.
a protector, someone we trust, and someone we knew that loved us.
Excellent. In regards to the book, do you think, because many people have this perception that when a woman writes about, especially not just any woman, but when a Black woman writes about Black men, there's this perception that immediately she's attacking, she's putting down, she's degrading and devaluing. Did Raising John's Boy at all, in the parts that you have read thus far, does any of it come across as angry, bitter, fighting, aggressive, want to devalue African American Black men at all?
No, not at all. I love the fact that you said, you know, you have to deal with where you are and not to blame the child, which means you can't say, I think the line where you said, you know, you can't tell me just like your father to punish them, don't use verbal abuse, you know, you ain't gonna be nothing like your father. As a matter of fact, you said don't do that. Don't
Mm-hmm.
compare negative, don't put negative thoughts in his head about his father. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so no, I don't think that, you know, that you put anything in that's derogatory that would bring down the blame. You deal with the reality. When I
Yes.
don't care what color you are, black, white, you know, when a
Yes.
person is angry and they're pain, they're gonna, you know, lash out. You know, when you've been hurt, and especially like you said, the child looked like the father. Oh God, help you. You know,
Right.
so no, but
Right.
you try to steer the mother away from doing just that, from being don't be negative because the child's gonna think I'm not my father, I'm like my father, I'm gonna be like my father, and you put those things out in the atmosphere, but you steer the reader away from negative thoughts, you know, so that the child will have a positive outlook of who his father is, and he's not gonna hear anything negative coming from your mouth. This is the
Right.
reality
Right.
of where we are. But no, I don't think it's not a male bashing book. No, it's not. It's a reality book.
Mm-hmm.
Real
Absolutely.
emotions. Real. I think Pastor Bruce says real and raw.
Yes.
It's
It's real and
real
raw.
and raw.
It's true. It's true. And you know, the thing is too is that, you know, when you know, it's not so much that, uh, you know, this was so honest and it was so me being so transparent and true. But the reality is that if you really want your son, if you love him and you want your son to grow up to be a good, wholesome man, You gotta do what you don't want to do. Please, I don't want anyone to think, because I would be coming out of I would be phony, and that wouldn't be who I am. Nijaah Howard's a very authentic woman. I wouldn't be telling you the truth if I didn't say I got angry and I wanted to scream on top of my lungs and I wanted to cry. I wanted him to die and all these emotions, right?
Emotions, yes.
But I had to realize that my son one day is not going to be little forever. He's going to be a man. He's going to represent me. And he's going to follow in how I raised him, because I'm predominantly the one raising him, which means that if I raise him as a broken woman, then I'm only perpetuating that brokenness inside of him.
Amen.
So I had to realize that if I did talk bad about his father, I was really hurting and crushing and breaking his identity and how he defined himself, especially since there was nothing to model after. There was nothing really there. He was there sometimes, but I had to be the one, put it like this, there was an outline, but I had to be the one to paint in the picture, right? And so there might be an outline, but a child needs to see visually. And in order to do that, you have to paint the picture like a brush, a stroke in a brush. So I had to paint a picture for my baby boy that he's a good guy, he's a good dad. What does that look like, right? But of course, age appropriate, when he got older, I told him the absolute truth. There was no anger, no bitterness, no stress, but this is the reality.
Yes.
Because if he was this really great, amazing, wonderful, perfect human being, then guess where he should be?
Amen.
He would be with us, right?
Yes.
But he's not. So you have to be honest and transparent, but do it with love. So
Amen.
there's a whole
That's
lot
the
of
key.
other, so you have to do is a whole lot of other little tips and tools inside Raising John's Boy to really help mothers to get past that pain and know how to get past the anger to be able to communicate to their son. When you was reading, Pastor Jackie, we're going to close up now, but I want you to finish this sentence. I keep reading because.
I keep reading because I want to find out more. I want to find out more of how it will help me. I'm reading this book to help raise Jackie. I'm being serious. I'm reading this book to find out how to establish better relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I'm reading this book to establish better relationships.
Excellent, excellent. Well, I am so grateful, Pastor Jackie Skyers, that you came on today. Let's talk over tea. This has been a wonderful dialogue, conversation, in depth over Raising John's Boy. Really appreciate you. Thank you for being here, and I hope that you come back again and visit us again.
You're welcome, Chaplain House. It's been my pleasure. God bless.
All right. God bless everybody.